Mike DeCourcy, the esteemed columnist at the Sporting News. And, of course, you see him on Fox Sports and Big Ten Network with College Rack. I saw him on Sunday at the place the Steelers play. And I have to tell you, it was disturbing. I was, just minding my own business. And then I look over and went, is that Mike DeCourcy? And he had a snake of about 15 beers in his hand, and he was cheering. He had on a Steeler hat. He had a terrible towel. Poorest behavior. I was trying to maintain a professional decor and decorum the entire time I was there. But wait a minute. Maybe it was me with 15 drinks stacked and a hat on and a terrible towel. I don't remember much from Sunday, although I do remember the final score, Mike, 18-16 Steelers. That's, 9-1 in the last 10 against the Ravens, or is it 8 of 9? I mean, I can't keep track of all the ass whoopings that they've given the overrated Baltimore Ravens.
I believe it's 8 of 9, but you're doing a pretty good job of keeping track. You're in the ballpark. They did an amazing job on Lamar Jackson. And it's not anything new for them. And one of the compelling things to me about the Steelers' success against Lamar Jackson, it's a fairly small sample size. They've won 4 games out of 5 against him. So it's a fairly small sample size, but it is 4 out of 5, and that's 80% success rate when no one else in the league, save for Kansas City, which has done the same 4 out of 5, and Oakland, which has done 2 out of 3. No one else has a winning record against him. And it's amazing to me that no one else seems to be able to copy what the Steelers have done. Because it's not just the Steelers have gone out and put up 40 and Lamar scored 38. It's not like that. The Steelers have not scored in those games by and large. Like you said, Sunday was only 18 points the Steelers put up, 6 field goals. And it was still a winning score. Last year, the winning score at Acrisure was 17 points, and the Ravens only got 10. And it's not just that they are more familiar with Lamar Jackson than the rest of the world. They are, but that's not the whole ingredient, because Cincinnati has played him a dozen times, Scott, and they've only won twice. So it's not just that they see him more often. Cleveland has done a good job on occasion with teams that haven't been great. I think they're around 3-6 or something like that. But it's a Steeler formula that's been successful, and no one else seems to be able to replicate it because he gets in against everybody else, and he's passing for 300 plus and rushing for close to 100.
So were you you were doing your column, and did you go to the press box to cover the game, or did you go as a fan?
No, I went with a friend. I sat in one of the 500 sections on the 48-yard line and enjoyed the day. The weather was spectacular. It's what NFL football should be, that tremendous autumn weather. And I was really impressed by what the Steelers were able to do in that circumstance. Even though they allowed the Ravens to come back and nearly tie them, they did a phenomenal job as well, very strategically calling the timeout just as Baltimore was getting ready to snap the ball. I will say, Scott, that I have advocated for years for no defensive team being allowed to call a timeout within the final 5 seconds of a play clock. I've always advocated for that because I think it's kind of nonsense that the guy goes through the kicking motion because it's called when the ball is snapped. Right. But if you're not going to change the rule, the Steelers did a great job of taking advantage of that because the Ravens turned the page from their original play call to their secondary play call, and the Steelers defended that mercilessly is the best way to put it because Nate Herbig went in and blew up 2 blockers, and then you had Cam Hayward surging into the backfield and Joey Porter coming up to make the tackle.
What's your thought on the scene in Pittsburgh with sports? I went to PPG Saturday night and the Penguins won a shootout. They're awful, but they won the game against the Sharks. They blew a lead. But the one thing I noticed was they're still selling out every game at PPG, and the team's not even worth they're not worth watching. They're a bad team like they were in the 80s. But the fans go to every game. It's a scene down there. And the Steelers atmosphere around that stadium, those tailgates and the throng of people walking into that stadium is like nothing I've ever seen. It is an unbelievable fan experience and fan base in Pittsburgh. Would you agree with all that?
I do. I think that you throw in the Pirates, too, for as bad as they've been over the last 3 decades, and still to get decent crowds at PNC Park. It's a great place to watch a game for anybody who's ever been there. It's the perfect place for visiting fans to come for a great weekend, to see their team in the best ballpark in the majors, and enjoy the downtown Pittsburgh life. And I think that's contributed to the attendance, but a lot. It's mostly Pirates fans, and they still do it. One thing I came away from over the last 10 days or so, Scott, regards to the Penguins situation, is this idea that they missed their opportunity to tear it down and build it back up. That's all nonsense. And all you have to do, you don't have to look any further than the top of the division in the Capitals. The Capitals still have all their old guys. Carlson, they still have Ovi. They've got Tom Wilson. They've got they've even got players that are older that are on injured reserve and not contributing. They didn't get younger in Washington. They just didn't bring in a lot of bad players. It's really that simple. You don't have to strip it to the bolts in order to continue rebuilding on the fly. The Penguins just did a horrible job of it. And it's not just the previous general manager. It's the one who's currently in place, who signed Carlson, who extended a failing goaltender. They've made a lot of mistakes. And it's not about the fact that they're paying Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin below market rates to stay. It's about what they've done around those guys. And what they've done around those guys, Scott, is fail.
They have no talent at all. None whatsoever. They have Carlson, Malkin, Crosby, and Letang. And Letang wasn't playing on Saturday. And I was watching, and I sat there, and I said to the people around me, I said, they literally have no one. I mean, they have no one with any talent whatsoever on the team. I mean, I guess I'll give you Rust, and Connor looks like he has potential to be a player, but he hasn't been around long enough to get that credit from me. I just think they look terrible. They blew a lead, as I mentioned, and they somehow found a way to win, but they don't win that often. They're an easy pushover. In fact, Friday night, I said they would lose by 3 goals in Columbus. Sure enough, they lost by 4. I mean, they're just not a good team.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, bringing in Carlson, paying him $11.5 million, and then seeing the efforts he puts out there. Is he skilled? We know he's skilled. You don't score as many points in the NHL as he has without being super skilled. But he's a turnstile on defense, and it's been, you saw that in multiple games this season where he just did not put in the appropriate effort defensively. And every now and then he'll contribute offensively, but he's not contributing at the rate he once did. And so you don't make up for the goals that you're giving up by if you're contributing offensively at a much lower rate than you used to. They've made a series of terrible decisions. And it wasn't the decision to keep Letang, Malkin, and Crosby was not one of the terrible decisions. It was everything they did around it. My wife would say it started with letting Marc-Andre Fleury go. She loves Marc-Andre. But I think it's really escalated probably since 2020 or 2021. Once Rutherford left the GM job, that's been an absolute mess.
I saw Mario at the airport, and I talked to him for like 10 minutes. I hadn't seen him in 20 years. I bumped into him at the baggage claim area where he was getting, mobbed by people for pictures. But I've known him since he was drafted, and I was always friends with him when I covered the Penguins on a daily basis. And it was fun to see him. He was with his wife, and we were both a lot older and fatter. And it made my day to see him. I got to tell you.
And he went home telling stories about how he saw Scott Pharell and he was being mobbed by people.
Come on.